While you and I know that time isn't unlimited, this often isn't mirrored in our choices and behavior. Hello, 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 and welcome to More Than Money, a podcast where we have nuanced conversations about money, business, and life, where we take the time to explore the human side of money, because success with money is never just about the numbers. I'm your host, Jacquette Timmons, and I am really, really glad that you are here with me today. So whether this is your very first episode or one of many, thank you and welcome. And before we get into today's episode, I've got a question for you. Do you want a little more peace, love, and happiness when it comes to your money? I know I do. And I know that there are a lot of others that do as well. And so I suspect that you might also. And now is the perfect time to pause and reflect and take the time to tweak and move forward in order to bring about all of that peace, love, and happiness when it comes to money. Because this is still summertime. It's, the middle of August or almost the middle of August. And this is, the time when a lot of us have really made the effort to pause a little bit because it's hot outside. And so we're slowing down. For other people, it's an opportunity to just take a break from the constant hustle and bustle. And so maybe you've taken a vacation or you've taken a staycation. Or you just simply are, moving at a leisurely pace because you are enjoying the extended daylight hours. Or maybe this is just a natural time of the year when your life and business naturally slow down. All that is to say that summer is an ideal time to take a step back and gain a fresh perspective on your financial goals and your progress to date. And when this episode goes live, again, it will still be August, but the middle of August. But that does still leave enough time for us to celebrate your financial journey thus far, check in on your goals and your progress and your current financial status, and take a look to determine what needs to happen between now and the end of the year in order for you to finish strong, especially because, fall starts in late September. So let us use the spirit of peace, love, and happiness to create more abundance, joy, and financial freedom and success in your life, in your business, and in your profession. And I am calling the experience to bring this about the Summer of Love Financial Edition. It's a 90-minute session, so it is quick but deep, I like to say, that's designed to give you a financial checkup and some clarity around where you are and what might you need to do next to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. I've only, though, opened my calendar for 10 sessions, so for 10 spots. And, once summer is over, one will come first. Either summer will be over or those 10 spots will be done. But if you're interested, grab your spot. And what you can do is send me a DM on Instagram and just write on there Summer of Love so that we know that that's what you're interested in. And we will get you all of the details to get everything started. Okay, cool. In the meantime, let's get into today's show. August 4th is just a date on the calendar for some people. But for me, it's the date where my life and identity changed forever. It's the day my mother died. And this year, 2024, marks the 10th year anniversary of her death. And on one hand, 10 years feels like so long ago. And yet on the other hand, I am also having that it does not feel like an entire decade has passed. Like that feeling of how have we gone 10 years already? And maybe I feel this way because death and grief have just changed my perception of time in general. Or perhaps it's because I'm getting older and time seems to be moving faster due to the psychological concept of time compression. And, it made me think about, at least I've had this experience, and I wonder if you are the same. Like, as a child, do you remember how summers seemed endless? And yet, as an adult, those very same months, they fly by, consumed by the blur of your roles and responsibilities. And now you find yourself saying things like, I can't believe it's August already. Or maybe that's just me, LOL. But this shift in perception about how you and I experience these very same months really worked to remind me that time is not, and that's not what I want to say. Yeah, time is not just a measure of hours and minutes. Time is fluid. Time is fluid, and within that fluidity, it can stretch or contract based on our experiences, emotions, and mental state of being, making the perception of time highly, highly subjective. And over the course of these last 10 years, my grief of my mother's death has evolved. Initially, as I navigated the heavy fog of sorrow, it had me in a grip, like in an acute grip, where it felt like time slowed down, or perhaps it was really just the case that I wanted time to slow down. But now, as the weight of my grief is much lighter on most days anyway, time seems to have sped up. And when I think about the last 10 years, I am reminded of this. The choices that you and I make when we believe that, you have all the time in the world, the choices that you make and the way you behave when you feel that way, they differ from when you don't feel like you have all the time in the world. And I wonder if you can relate to that, particularly when it comes to how you manage your money, your business, and your life. So, why am I using the 10th anniversary of my mother's death to frame a conversation with you about the perception of time? It's to invite you to reflect on how you relate to it, since doing so can offer deep insights into your relationship with time. Because, yes, just as we have a relationship with money, we have a relationship with time. Because while you and I know that time isn't unlimited, this often isn't mirrored in our choices and in our behavior. In fact, right now, I bet that there is a decision that you need to make or an action that you need to take, but you continuously say, I'll get to it, because you are acting as if you have all the time in the world, despite the reality that time is limited. Am I right? And look, I am in the same boat. So, for example, decluttering my desk, good Lord, and updating the website copy, um, have been rolling over week after week after week on my to-do list for months now. So you get no shade, no shame, and no judgment from me. But this tendency of ours to hold a distorted perception of time, don't you find that a bit odd? After all, presumably what's on the other side of I'll get to it is something that you and I want or need, whether that want or need is functional, social, or emotional. And time has a way of just kind of like slipping through our fingers, unnoticed until we pause to reflect on it. And so that is why I hope that you will consider a few things as it relates to that thing that you keep saying, I'll get to it too. And so the first thing is this: why are you procrastinating? What is the real reason you haven't done it already? Is your delay connected to being reminded that you are that you have underestimated how much time is required. And this awareness has you paralyzed. And so you are unable to move forward. Or two, why haven't you prioritized? Maybe it's the case that your delay is highlighting that you have a conflict when it comes to the goals. And, one goal that you have prioritized is conflicting with another goal that you have prioritized. And you want it all right now. You want both goals to manifest right now, but they are, in conflict with one another. And so maybe what you are discovering is that you cannot have it all under your current circumstances. So again, you're paralyzed. But here's a third one. What fears are holding you back? Are you afraid that if you actually follow through on that thing, that you will actually won't experience the outcome that you want? Maybe you were worried about failing, or perhaps you are worried about succeeding and wonder if you are fully prepared for what success might come afterward. And finally, how are you managing your energy? On the surface, it may seem an odd connection to make, but perhaps the reason you keep punting that thing that has you saying, I'll get to some point in the future is because you are tired. What a concept. Here's the thing. Whatever choice you need to make or action you need to take, it requires energy. Sometimes that energy shows up as mental, emotional, physical, or even financial energy, or a concatenation of all of these. So, what do you need to do to fill your energy cup? And are you giving yourself enough time to rest and recover so that you can actually fill that energy cup? Unfortunately, you and I frequently underestimate the role of energy and self-care when it comes to how you and I perceive, evaluate, and manage time. Therefore, today, I would love for you, please, to take a moment and to reflect on what you've been putting off. What are you waiting for the right time for? And simply start now. Because while time is fluid, your opportunities within it are not. And while you're at it, take a moment to really remember how your choices today shape your future. And may this reflection not only remind you of the fleeting nature of time, but also to live more intentionally. Likewise, may it remind you that each day gives you a chance to make the most of your time here. And you don't need the loss of a loved one to spark this reflection. Yes, we know, you and I know that time is definitely real. The past is real, the present is real, the future is real. The illusion of whether or not you experience time as moving slowly or quickly, though, that's another thing. Well, that's a wrap for us today, folks. Thank you so much, as always, for listening and listening all the way into the end. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, I thank you for that as well. If you'd like to show appreciation for this podcast or perhaps this particular episode, please do me a favor and share it with people in your circle so that we can reach more folks than we would on our efforts alone. And if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please take a moment to leave a rating and a review. We do read the reviews, but two, it helps us with that algorithm so that we can appear further up at the top in the search when people are searching for podcasts about money. Yeah. So, and also if you're on YouTube, please leave a comment below there as well. And finally, if you'd like to buy me a coffee, here's how you can do that. buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette, buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette. And again, remember, if you are interested in the Summer of Love Financial Edition, the 90-minute financial checkup and clarity session, send me a DM on Instagram with the text Summer of Love, and we will get you squared away with what to do next. Thanks again. I'll be back with another episode. I hope you will too. And until then, remember, it's about more than money.